everyone. Post-solar eclipse energies and what has been coming through. This video will cover that which we may be sensing at this point. From April 9th to about April 17th is when we celebrate in our Indian culture the Navaratri, the 9 nights of the Divine Feminine. We also celebrated the New Year, which we actually, one name for it is Yugadi, which literally means Yug Adi, the beginning of a new time, beginning of a new era. And of course, as we know, this year and at this time where we find ourselves to be stated more accurately, at the level of awareness that is present at this point, we are completely in a new timeline. As a truer identity and self, as awareness, as soul, as that which is timeless and true, and as the body, this physical body, thinking mind, the appearance of the world, plays as linear time-space reality. This solar eclipse, as I mentioned in the last video, the sun is not the same. It's the age of Aquarius, the new sun. It's an integrated sun. The sun that symbolizes as the soul, the very light that which we are. And consciousness is primary. Right? There's no difference between what is deemed and defined as the self and reality. At the level of the Dwapar Yuga state of mind and duality, it is simply the play of an inner and outer. So as consciousness, that is manifest consciousness, as the vibration of the mind starts to vibrate at a higher frequency, this is the process that we are moving through right now, which is already done energetically, which is the transformation, waking up to I am timeless as awareness, that which does not change. And still, as the body is experiencing the play of linear time, space, and the play of relating as a separate self and therefore concepts. The integrated sun that is experienced, its luminosity that is experienced on the outer is the same as the sun and the light, that which we are. And as all that which has been playing in and as the paradigm of the Dwapar Yuga as duality, it's coming to light, dissolving to be as if awakening to becoming the true self, which of course is no becoming at all. It is an unbecoming, a realization of the truer reality that I am. This is the exciting time. And what was really coming through at this point really is to share how this new energy that is present at this time can translate to our body, mind, in a new way. To kind of put it in the context of Navaratri that is happening right now. And of course, this is putting it in the context. Again, context is everything. That which we are, I am, is timeless. It already is now. And at the level of the body, right, every practice, every concept, anything that is expressed is at the level of the linear time-space. You can say we're speaking of it relatively for these 9 days. We celebrate Yugadi, Gudi Padwa, and then there are many other names as well for it, which is the new year. We acknowledge that that which has been simmering underground is now arising, right? Spring, showing its face with the same consciousness that as the subtle arises now as the masculine concrete face of matter, the level of tangible experience. That is what we're seeing, the beginning of the new year. Now, if we look at this at the level of the body paradigm, where it's the cycles of nature, then every year we know this happens. Right? Every year, spring, the new is coming up. Chaitra Navaratri or Vasanta Navaratri literally translates to the Navaratri that this time, which is in spring. Now all of this, whatever that is followed at the level of the body, we know practices, processes, concepts, ideas, all are for the paradigm, for body, physical body, the psychological I, and the experience of the world, that paradigm. So for this, it is when we are absolutely vibrating at the level of the Dwapara Yuga state of mind. That means experiencing your consciousness, experiencing ourselves as linear time-space, as duality, and that means identified, our primary identification itself of that which I am is at the level of the body. Right? The name that I've been given, where I was born, it's that story. I was born, and then I'm going to die. Right? That time frame. And the story that is connected to that identity. And therefore, this Dwapara Yuga state of mind, primarily the play of Dwapara Yuga, is to move as a separate self, as a doer. Right? The identity and the vibration of the mind is such that it believes it is apart from life. It is an experience in Kali Yuga, of course, to be completely disempowered. It simply moves as blind reaction. I've created a video on that as well. I'll just go ahead and put the links. Take a look at that. And then, of course, in Dwapara Yuga, awakening to a sense of I have choice, I have power, which again is at the personal level as a separate self. This is the game. So in Dwapara Yuga, when we are vibrating at the level of the body, we're still standing apart as if from life at some level, because it's that play of unconscious, being unconscious, all of course simply an illusion. And therefore then moving still as the conditions and the ideas that is held. Right? And not, what does that really mean? We're not moving in and as nature. We may be doing that in parts, we may not be doing that in parts. So all of this, these times, in India and all the ancient cultures, if you really look at it, all the festivals, all this is to invite the Dwapara Yuga state of body-mind world to align with nature. Because we are nature. And when the body is moving aligned with nature, as we know in Ayurveda and all of that, well-being is natural. Vitality, thriving, clarity, the ability to see and move as the cycles of nature, right? Moving with the seasons, right? Because this body, this whole experience, tangible experience of physicality, belongs to the vibrational frequency of the mind that is belonging to Mother Earth. Right? So the body belongs to Mother Earth. It's an expression that arises from her. So when we align with that, naturally we, at the level of the body, tangibly experience that ease, that well-being, a sense of being natural. Right? But when we are unconscious at the level of the body and moving as a separate self, as conditions, then that unalignment is felt as a resistance. So whenever that happens, then there is dis-ease, because we are not at ease, which is our natural state of being. So all these festivals and these kind of practices, processes were all to invite us to align with Mother Nature itself. So if we look at this right now through the lens of seasons, so if we look at all these festivals and all these processes, right, practices that are there that align us with Mother Nature, then we'll really see that at this time, whenever there are shifts in season, they are like powerful portals and times that, the momentum of energy and the shift that is already there. So body, mind, we can harness that, right? We are nature itself, and shift into that state that allows things to naturally kind of open up. So what needs to kind of move through that has already been experienced happens. It leaves. What needs to end, ends. And then whatever the new is beginning, wherever we find ourselves, arises anew. So this time that we are really there is one of those. Now every year, annually, there are 4, and some even celebrate 5, but 4 Navaratris, right? These 9 nights of Divine Feminine. So again, I want to kind of name this Navaratri. Nava means 9. Ratri is night, not days, 9 nights. That is because as our truer reality and our nature, we know that which arises, that is perceived by the 5 senses as the known conscious mind, arises from the depths of the unknown, from the dark womb of the mother. That's the perspective. Right? So it's the 9 nights. That's why nights are those times when really the known mind, right? That's when we go, that mind goes to sleep. And then that allows for the deeper sensing and the truer reality of that which we are. That is the subtle. The subtle sensing is the feminine. So that's why it's the 9 nights. And that's why there are a lot of things the body is invited into, to go through fasts. Why? Because when we don't eat and we are light, and this is not just even more than the body fasting, it's also the mind fasting. We don't take in information anymore from the outer world. That's the play of the Dwapar Yuga, right? It's like the outside in. We take in knowledge from outside. We take in experiences from outside. We become full of that. Right? That's the opposite. Because we are playing the game of being unconscious of the fact that I am knowledge. All is within me. There is nothing outside of me. Right? So separating ourselves as the body, we take sustenance from outside that we need. So we experience ourselves to play the game of dependency. Right? The body's sustenance is required from, let's say, food from outside, from what seems like I need to breathe from outside. Same way for me to have knowledge from outside. That allows us to experience that way of relating with so-called others and outer, which of course is the one self itself. Right? So at this point, this Navaratri that we call 9 nights is that time to sense deeper into that which is our truer reality. I want to share a little bit about Navaratri. Like I said, there are 4, but 2 are really seen to be more significant because those are the times, 2 shifts in season, truly when we, if we observe as well in the outer nature, we can really see that these changes, which is one, of course, at this time, which is spring, which after in winter, we see that all as if life was dead, right? If you look at the trees and the leaves and the cold weather, everything, like all the leaves had fallen. If you look at the branches and some of the trees, they even look dead to us. And then, of course, in spring, new leaves are, unfurling and all of that. So this is one of the shifts. And of course, in autumn, right? That is the Sharat Navaratri. Sharat Navaratri is where we are going back after experiencing the bounty of spring and summer. So it's like a beautiful cycle that we can really see, which is now rising into the masculine. Spring is the new phase of life that is arising, and in summer it's the expending of the new energy. And that's why at this time, if we align with nature, the energy at the level of the body is full and alive and energetic because it has rested through winter. Right? That's why the Uttarayana phase, that's another way to look at it. The winter solstice, post-winter solstice is the Uttarayana phase, right? With the longer days from the solstice, and then again summer solstice from June onwards when we go, but that's the Dakshinayana phase. Again, that's inviting us longer nights. That means going inwards. This is the cycle of life, like a heartbeat. In, out, in, out. We're aligned with nature. So if you look at it right now, that's why, especially if we have been moving with and as nature, we will see and feel that facing towards the sun. Right? We're ready. There's new arising, and that's why this phase of Uttarayana is what we really call as the Kaivalya Pada, like the path of realization, newer. That which was not there before is experiencing itself. All a play of consciousness, that which we are, right? Mind as manifest consciousness. Shiva as mind, true mind, as Shakti, is here to experience everything and anything. I am existing. Existence. This is a celebration. Right? So when we move as nature, and that is why even between these 2 Navaratris that come now, this is one that we're going through, Chaitra or Vasanta Navaratri. If you look at Sharat Navaratri, the one in autumn, is kind of seen to be a little bit more significant of all. And that's the one that's the most well known. And that is because it's so important from where we stand as the Dwapara Yuga state of mind. To empty ourselves. Right? As the Dwapara Yuga state of mind is duality, we move as concepts, as ideas. This is true, this is not, this is right, this is wrong, this is good, that is bad. Just fine. That is what allows us to play as conditioning. Right? As consciousness, how would we otherwise experience that play of limitation? It's only through limiting ourselves that we can play. Because consciousness is, period. But in Sharat Navaratri, it's significant because it invites us, let go. You're done with that experience. Right? At the relative level, no experience can define us. And at the relative level, what we are experiencing is simply a reflection of that which we are vibrating at in that moment, one may say. So, as the leaves, right, like the trees shed their leaves, we're aligned with nature. We know that experience is done, that play is done, and we empty ourselves. We go into contemplative phase, we go inwards, and each body, mind, every form, right, manifest mind is divya, say, appearance of that which cannot even be named. Right? It's appearing and divine. So we go within. So each form is a unique expression. It cannot be given a concept of what it is. And therefore, each body mind, when goes within, can then sense, right, that what is coming forth as the new. So that is the invitation. So for autumn, the Navaratri, of course, is very well known because that kind of, right, without emptying the cup is full already. It is only going to pour out the old that it has held as a concept. So, done that, this Sharat, right, after Sharat Navaratri, this Chaitra and Basanta Navaratri, this time is the arising of the new. With the solar eclipse, as mentioned, 2024, 2025, of course, if we are speaking linearly, right, we're still in the body, in that sense, that which we are is timeless. Does the body experience that? It's a new yuga, new way of being and doing. Now again, context is everything. When these 9 nights were set up, if you really look at it, the 9 nights, 9 number is a very important completion number, right, as we know. So, 9 nights were given to the Dwapar Yuga state of mind because the Dwapar Yuga state of mind that lives at the level of tangibility, known mind, show me. It believes, right? It moves as a belief. So it needs to experience something at the level of 5 senses to believe something. That which is not present in its experience of 5 senses does not exist for it. Right? And that's why, and that's part of the play. It fragments, consciousness fragments itself. Right, as the unconscious, subconscious, and then of course the conscious mind. And standing as the conscious mind that thinks its lit world, it only believes when it experiences things at the level of tangibility. So that is why these 9 nights were given, in the sense that in these 9 nights, when the Dwapar Yuga state of mind practices these things, it will experientially shift and live that shift at the level of the body. Right? When you fast and you're really contemplating, you're praying, right? Because it puts God, everything, life as a bigger aspect outside of itself, because its identity is smaller. So it needs to pray, we need to do rituals when we are vibrating as this mind, all of that. So that is part of the play. So that's why 9 nights were given. In the practice of pranayama as well, when I began, I was offered this kind of understanding from my teacher, who's not in an embodied state, who really shared, where said that the 9 nights are for that state of mind that is vibrating at the level of the known mind. Time is relative, right? That which we are mind is time. The vibration of the mind is the experience of the time. But nothing is outside. Everything is here and now. It's only as the relative linear time space we experience linear time. So as the mind changes, that which is experienced in 9 nights can be experienced in 9 hours, can be experienced in 9 minutes, and then 9 seconds, to waking up to realizing that there is no relative time. The Dwapar Yuga state of mind plays as linear time. Because it is born and it feels it's going to die, everything, its psychological beliefs are also set as a beginning and an end. That is why it begins something with the fact that it has an outcome in mind and holds that, all determined by its state of awareness and the beliefs that it carries. So it takes 9 nights. But right now where we are vibrating, this is closer. 1. There is no beginning and there is no ending. There is no start of a me doing something that is thinking of an outcome. They're all one and the same. And that is the invitation this time. And this is coming forth to really be shared, to see the same traditions and practices that have been done, and to kind of always resonance, right? Because every state of mind is already consciousness, but at the experiential level, experiencing, it's like a flower blossoming uniquely, right? At its perfect timing. So sensing where you are and coming more and more into the present moment. So do the practice. Instead of holding time and putting things outside. So post the solar eclipse energy, this is really the invitation to kind of sense into this. I am now here. And to kind of sense what are the conditions and how am I perceiving anything and putting things outside of me, adding time. How am I tethered to outer definitions of the world, outer outcomes? And only in that happening, I believe I am that. Right? It's like the outside in game. So these 9 nights or every moment can serve to deepen into that. That is the invitation. So at this time, we're really being invited to look at that that which we are doing, the rituals, traditions, with a new light, because there's new awareness. So however you may be called to exploring this or celebrating this, whatever resonates for you is perfect and right for you. Right? That is the most important. So however you're called to celebrate this, that's why even in celebrating the Devi, that is which is just the word for divine, right? That which appears. Everything is divine. Everything is the Devi always. That's why Shakti, living, is power, without which even Shiva is nothing, right? Shakti is that power. Experience, mind is experience. It's only through mind isness, any kind of isness is. So one way to look at that, right? So everything is divine. Devi's message always like, what is it that I am and what is it that I am not? Everything. This is the way. The nothing that arises is the everything, and that nothing that is Shiva we can't even name it as nothing because it has no attributes, no gunas, no traits, no nothing. So we can't even speak about that. So that is why everything that is expressed, that's why Devi says in our culture, that's why Devi is the pathway, Shakti is the pathway. Devi is like the personified aspect of that, right? Shakti is the power. Shakti is the pathway to everything. Anything at any level, even this awakening to the truer reality we call as Shiva, in that sense, is a higher, more expansive. There is isness to it. It is Shakti. Right? That's the play. So very, very important. This was really coming through to be shared. That trust, that which arises within you as living love. Divine Shakti is consciousness, Shiva, in expression. So it's a loving. This living is a loving that is uniquely expressed through each body-mind. It cannot come from outside as a concept. Those concepts can serve as guidelines when we are seeking. But ultimately, right now, where we are in the age of Aquarius, it's all about, that's why intuitive knowing. There's an intuition. This is my form. And I wanted to share a little bit about the difference between Chaitra Navaratri and Sharat Navaratri. There's a big difference in that sense. But before I jump into that, the Devi's Rupa that is for Sharat Navaratri and the Devi's Rupa that is Rupa, I mean by the form, the way that she flows, for Chaitra Navaratri is very different. Before I jump into that, I want to kind of complete the loop for Shakti, mind, that is guna, existence, isness. All of life that has isness has guna to it. So that's why in our culture we say that that which is consciousness manifests itself, right? Manifest consciousness is mind, is Shakti. And that mind is a dance of these three gunas, tamas, rajas and sattva. It is the ratio of these three gunas that allow for consciousness, that which we are, to experience itself as I am manifest, as that flavor. Right? And that's why it's all equanimous. Ultimately, all expressions, all forms, no matter how these gunas dance in whatever ratio, is equanimous, because there is only one consciousness. I want to give a picture for the tamas and rajas and sattva. Okay, so if you hold all of this loosely, sense it in your body, you already know all of this, right? Your consciousness. So tamas is that which grounds, right? So when it is unconscious, when the mind is unconscious, that tamas can translate as too much of a density. So then what happens is that we feel lethargic, there's inertia, we can't move, right? And you can feel that we are called to do something, but the body, mind has these beliefs that generate this tamas in the body, right? So we like to be in our comfort zone when we really know we are called to do something, right? Things like that. So that is the thing. When tamas is in balance perfectly for us, whatever that ratio is, right? The mind cannot know that. It's just in the moment. That's why body wisdom is beautiful, because it can feel that at some level. So then it offers that stake in the ground kind of. I am, to be able to stand as that. That takes tamas. To stand as this is what I am in this moment. Right? So we are here in this human form naturally to experience it. Right? The path, which is one of the biggest thing that shifts everything, is the belief that we carry that we have come here to go back. And therefore we do not experience, it's the other way around. Consciousness is already complete, fulfilled, and we are here to play as this. That completely shifts the dynamics of how we experience this living. Where I am is perfection in every moment. There is no other place. Now is the only space. I am is the only thing there is. Now we embody and take space in this moment, right here, right now. Right. See, there's a different way of playing here. Because I already am. I already am. So tamas is that grounding, and then rajas is pure creativity. So tamas, that's why unconscious is relating to the Devi aspect, or the power that symbolizes as Durga and Kali. When it's unconscious, that force is required, right? Even for us to take a stand, it's like this. It's not the force that others, but it's like that stand, that strength, inner strength, courage, confidence. To be who I am, what life is in this moment. Right? So that is the tamas thing, right? The Devi, Durga, Kali, which Navaratri, that's what I want to share, is always kind of related to that, and that is natural for the Dwapara Yuga state of mind. But there are other flavors, right? So if you look at rajas, if you look at chakras, that's why root chakra, Swadhisthana, sacral chakra, that energy. When we start coming to Manipura in the heart, then it is Parvati, the feminine. If you look at it at that time, it's Lakshmi, right? Rajas is pure creativity, abundance. That is who I am. When I stand as what I am, abundance is my nature. That is what I'm radiating. I am living life itself. Nothing is apart from me, and that is also that naturally is experienced tangibly.
सर्वमंगल मांगल्ये शिवे सर्वार्थ साधिके शरण्ये त्र्यंबके गौरी नारायणी नमोस्तुते या देवी सर्वभूतेषु विष्णुमायेति शक्तिता नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः या देवी सर्वभूतेषु चैतन्येत्य विधीयते नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः.
mind is guna or guni, we say. And when we see from the eyes of the soul, instead of looking at the form, you see the gunas. You can sense the guni. There is nobody, there is nothing outside of being guni. Because guni, I want to kind of translate that in some ways that energetically translates in the languages. That essence, right? The deeper essence. There's a deeper value, right? That comes forth. When you hold these eyes, doesn't matter what is showing up on the surface, you can sense the essence, right? The flavor. You can taste what is coming through. That is the beauty. And that is why you can see beauty in everything, everyone, because everything is a face of love. That is the sensing of unconditional love, right? As this. So to kind of paint the picture. And then very, very key, coming to this now, where we are. Most of the time, Navaratri, what is most common, and which is of course natural because we are in the Dwapara Yuga state of mind when we are unconscious. Literally, Navaratri and all of this is connected directly to Durga, right? Durga and Kali energy. It's like, oh, that's why it's ferocious, it's this, that, right? That's one face, right? That one part of that which we are. And that is very important, especially and relates to the Sharat Navaratri and the Autumn Navaratri. Right? Because like I said, going through spring and summer, we become full of experience. That's the cycle. Right? So we arise new again, and the new, whatever that was, desire, all of that, right, arises, manifests itself, we experience that, the fruiting of that, we offer that to our world. Right? And the full, like it's called, that's why it's a beautiful cycle of giving and receiving, right? One consciousness, we only receive from ourselves and we give to ourselves. There is no other. But that fruiting, right, of the tree, the fruit, and then that abundance is offered. And then the expenditure of that, and then the call to go within during Autumn Navaratri. And what is that? That is that time, many times, is the Durga and the Kali energy that we celebrate, because that is when, if we have lived in the world and we have taken on all these conditions and tamas that limit us, we see the beliefs for what it is, right? The contemplative state is that we see the beliefs for what it is, all of that, and we let go. I'm not that, I'm not that, I'm done with that, right? Or another higher level of perceiving is, that too is one way to be, and I'm done tasting that. That is what Kali's thing is, right? Her tongue is out. She is tasting. She is the tasting. Mind is tasting, sensing. I'm done with that. I move on, right? Because this is the way consciousness tastes life. All of experience is sacred. And then moving from that. So during the Autumn Navaratri and all of that, of course, Durga, that aspect is celebrated more, a reminder within energetically. But now, I really want to share that we're coming into Chaitra, Vasanta Navaratri, right? Vasanta is spring. The new is arising. The flavor of Devi at this point, then when we are aligned with nature, can be sensed as that. We have emptied ourselves, right? Dakshinayana phase was the lower chakras, that's why Sadhana Pada. When we come into Uttarayana phase, it's the top, right? The top chakras. The Kaivalya Pada is the expression. So the Devi here that is really celebrated at this point as spring is Lalitha, right? Just the word itself means to play. To play. All, of course, is divine play. There's nothing outside. It's already playing. But to kind of really sense into that, right? She's Devi and her name is Lalitha. And Lalitha, if you really look at it, right? It's like the Krishna's Rasa Leela. This is Krishna's favorite season. That's why it's a reminder for us, right? To be able to play like how Krishna played. Like if you look at Krishna's life as well, like a child, right? But he embodied many different roles, right, as he grew up. He was like a lover for somebody. It's like a divine child for somebody. And then later as this amazing, discerning diplomat, right? An advisor. This thing. Then all of these roles, right? His life is that for us, personification of that which we are living at every point in our life. And we will relate to different aspects of his life in that sense. So spring is that. So Lalitha, Devi's Rupa, is that of play. To sensing us allows us to, and then there's a quality to this play. The more and more we come into alignment, that's why linear time starts to dissolve. When linear time, this thinking mind starts to dissolve, life becomes spontaneous. We're not moving as a concept that this is what we must be doing at this time. We simply are. And then that becomes Lalitha's play. She's spontaneous. What is in this moment, right? That blossoms. So that is why at this time, Lalitha Sahasranamam is one of the books that are chanted, which is the 1,000 names. Of course, at that time when it was written, 1,000 was like infinity, right? Celebrating her infinite faces. If you really look at it, that's why Adi Shankaracharya was the one who is, the Vedantic philosopher and teacher, right? The guru of that. But he wrote Saundarya Lahari, celebrating. Saundarya means beauty. Lahari means waves. Celebrating Shakti, that which arises, the nothingness, we say, arises as the beauty of living life itself. That is her face, Lalitha.
सिन्दूरारुणविग्रहां त्रिनयनां माणिक्यमौलिस्फुरत्तारानायकशेखरां स्मितमुखीमापीनवक्षोरुहां पाणिभ्यामणिपूर्णरत्नचषकां
So to celebrating an awakened body, mind, world. Very, very happy Navaratri to all of us, celebrating and living this new yoga that which we are.
सर्वमंगल मांगल्ये शिवे सर्वार्थ साधिके शरण्ये त्र्यंबके गौरी नारायणी नमोस्तुते।